Hello and welcome along to the F1 Esports Series Pro Championship 2022. It is the final race of event number 2 today. It's around Zandvoort and I'm very much looking forward to it. We've had 2 brand new winners in event number 2. Can we make it a full house? We'll have to wait and see. Now, no walkouts today, thankfully. They're already here. It's Hayden Gullis and Tom Deacon. Tom actually did really want to walk out, but we said no.
I know, it's just because for the quali show, it's a brilliant, long show, and I didn't want to sit down for too long. I wanted to be up on my feet, because we know when it gets to Q3, it gets really exciting.
Well, you can lead Q3 if you want, and just...
You should just be happy that you're here and not over there now. Okay?
Wow. He's getting confident as well. Wow. Hayden, loving the... I don't know if the jacket's being done justice to everyone watching, but it's burning.
Yeah, just in case there's any yellow flags during the session later.
I've heard DHL were very happy as well.
Oh, that's good, that's good.
So, yeah, have they sponsored you as well?
Or? We can have talks later, maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. And Tom, of course, yesterday, Barry Burramand, we were all very happy for him. Were you as ecstatic?
I was ecstatic for him. There's nothing better than getting your maiden victory. And the fact that that's 12 different drivers who've won that now, won the opportunity to be special. And Barry's done that, and he kind of deserves it. Prior to that, Mexico, second place finish was his best. And you just love to see it because you know how much time and effort they put into this.
Yeah, and as you can see here, some highlights from his race. Took the lead, went for the undercut on Freddie Rasmussen and just led from the front, and we thought maybe, is this the race Freddie Rasmussen tries to take it on the last lap? We've seen it happen before in the past, but it's not been working out for him of late. He lost, of course, to Thomas Ronhaar, and then the final lap of the race, there was a bit of contact, and Barry Burramand actually did get a reprimand and 1 penalty point on his licence for that move under braking. It was touch and go. I'm sure some people felt aggrieved that that wasn't penalised, but you can see how much it meant to him. What did you make of that whole last lap?
Definitely on the limit, but I think because there was enough room on the circuit, that's why it was just a warning and not a penalty. But yeah, we saw how much it meant to Barry there. A fantastic race, and these tactics from Freddie Rasmussen, they work, but the problem with leaving it so late is you just put so much more pressure on yourself, and you're just allowing yourself to be maybe pushed around a bit by the lead driver. Leaving
it so late and also trying to overtake a driver that's never won before. Had it with Ronhaar, had it with Burramand. It's not worked for either of them. Now, it's not to say Freddie Rasmussen's having a terrible season, because finishing second, if he finishes second for the rest of the season, he's probably going to win the championship. But you can see on his face, he doesn't want to finish runner-up.
No. Interviewing him last night in the live show, I said, it was a clean race. And he said, yeah, clean. So you could tell. I thought he was like, oh, it was a clean race. And then you find out there was that incident with Barry. He's not happy, but like Hayden says, he's putting too much on his shoulders to try and achieve during the race. And you're like, just make it easy for yourself. Like 3 poles in a row. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it today. And as you mentioned, in the Drivers' Championship, he's now cut the lead down to 5 points. So look, he could end up being our champion this year.
Let's also hope that he got some good sleep, because obviously the interview that we had with him, he was very much keen to see that. Let's take a look at what happened between Blakely and Rasmussen. Of course, Lucas qualifying in a lowly 7th, but starting on the medium tyres and making up a couple of positions before he even got down towards turn 1. A different strategy. I welcome this with open arms. Great to see Lucas go on the attack, and this was close with Ronhaar, but managing to sweep all the way round the outside of him, and then continues to progress at the start of the race. Of course, those medium tyres working very well, took the lead, but then we always knew he was going to be on the back foot come the end of the race. Yeah, this is what we need to see from somebody who's in contention for the championship. The other drivers who've just got into the top 10 in qualifying would be happy to settle on the hard tyres and then try and see if they can pick any positions later on in the race. But Lucas, he needed to try and gain as many positions as he could in this race. He did that fantastically, but you were just a sitting duck at the end, but he did a brilliant job defending. Good defence there with Freddie Rasmussen. You know, Freddie came through in the end on lap 17, and by that point, it was only really Josh who got past him as well. So great defence and a really good race from him. And that strategy was only made possible for Lucas Blakely by the fact that Barry Burramand had qualified so high up. They could work together, they could use their energy deployment more tactically. So it was big shout out to Burramand as well to allow Blakely to pick up some positions.
Yeah, and the flip side of that, when we talked about Freddie Rasmussen, maybe a part of him's not wanting to push it, not risk contact to get that overtake, because for Red Bull as a team, they need as many points on the board. They're currently second with 100 points now in the team championship. Maybe that's why he's not pushing for his own personal achievement. It's more thinking about the team, because Marcel is just way back down where we don't expect him.
And let's touch upon that very quickly with Red Bull. What is going on with Marcel Kiefer's side of the garage? Because we've seen on Twitter, for example, he's been sharing that it's just not working out for him at the moment. He's quite upset, like qualifying's not working out as well. Where is he missing it compared to Freddie Rasmussen? Because they were so comparable last year.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think it's the case of the new game, new regulations with the cars, new tyre models as well, and that is where we're seeing him struggling. We're seeing the same thing with Jarno Opmeer in the qualifying, but Jarno's able just to eke out that extra performance in the races, gain positions and still score some decent points, whereas Marcel, unfortunately for him, is just looking outside the points. And we've got Josh looking over his shoulder at Rasmussen, but I think it's Marcel who should be looking over his shoulder at Josh.
Well, let's take a look who's looking over what shoulder in the driver's standings. As you can see, Lucas Blakely is very much looking behind him now, as Freddie Rasmussen only 5 points behind that lead that we thought, is this Lucas Blakely's season? It keeps getting whittled down. There's no more damage limitation allowed for Lucas Blakely, you have to say, if he wants to win this Drivers' Championship. Freddie Rasmussen looking very good indeed, but still some missed points, you have to say, with those last 2 races and not being able to win them. Thomas Ronhart still within a victory behind Lucas Blakely, and then Barry Burmand putting himself up to P4 after that brilliant victory last time out. And here's the team's championship. No surprise, McLaren Shadow have extended their lead out in front, 37 points clear of Red Bull. Mercedes are starting to just fall back even more now on 72. Haas, look at them up in 4th. They've probably got a nosebleed. It's great to see them so high up. And then Tom, of course, Williams, I'm sure you have a lot to say about them.
Do you want me to talk about it now? I've got a mini TED Talk to touch upon it.
Yeah.
Yes, Alvaro Caraton getting the only point for Williams. Further up, 2 more places. Haven't got time to talk about Alpine. We will later. Simon Weigang doing it all at the moment for Aston Martin. Josh Evans coming in and exciting people because it's his debut season, but still hasn't picked up a point yet. So the pressure's on some of the one drivers in the team at the moment.
Not as much pressure maybe for Thomas Ronhart, who had this message after yesterday.
Hey guys, it's me, Thomas here. Hope you're doing well and enjoying the 2022 Pro Series Championship. Austria and Spa, but I would say, well, Austria has obviously been a really good day for myself, not for the whole perspective for Matthijs, but you know, he's been struggling a little bit on those tracks, but I'm sure he'll be back in the next event. I would say the expectations for the race, there's only one goal for myself, which is to win. Obviously, it's my home GP, so there's only one goal in my mind, which is to win. And also Piotr, he's going to be driving today. He'll be looking to get some points as well on the board. He's been really fast in practice, so let's see how that plans out. Looking into qualifying, I would say it's going to be, well, probably the toughest and the most important one on the calendar, apart from Monaco, but obviously that's not on the calendar. But I think personally, Zandvoort is going to be definitely the most important one. So we'll have to see how that plans out. And also for the race, anything can happen, you know. But we'll have to wait and see if there's anything going to be going on through the race. But hey, that's it for me. And I hope you all enjoy the 2022 Zandvoort Grand Prix. Take care.
Well, forget about the Drivers' Championship. It's about who can talk the longest, and that's definitely between Lucas Blakely and Thomas Ronhart.
One question.
All they said was, how are you? And he cracked on. But no, it's great to hear from Thomas, of course, not scared to give us some insight into how he's feeling. And he seems pretty chill. Like, interviews, easy, racing, done. He's ready for this.
Yeah, it's incredible to see. I'm sure Hayden will agree. When you see a driver just grow in stature, confidence, their ability they're showing on the track, but then they're now able to like impart their wisdom on everyone. And he's talking about his teammates there. Best of luck. He gave away a little bit of secret there. No Van Erwin today. So can Pieter Statalec step up and get some points for Haas as well?
Well, you think that he's probably praying for it, isn't he, Hayden? You can't carry an entire team on your shoulders without a teammate there to not only pick up points, but help Ronhart. We saw it with Burman and Blakely in last time out's race at Spa, that teammate sort of working together is really crucial to maximise your results. Ronha can't do this all by himself.
No, and especially when the money is in the team's championship, that is the most important one. Obviously, the egos are going to come into the drivers' championship, but in order to get the big amount of money coming in, I mean, Haas, we've always seen them at the bottom. They're going to love whatever they get. But if they can push it any further, then it's going to be incredible for them, and they're going to need another teammate to step it up, of course.
And you also have to think that Ronha being at Haas, of course, Haas have struck gold with having Ronha. But if Ronha can't be supplied a teammate, you then think to next year, is he going to look elsewhere to a team that can offer him a suitable teammate?
This is what I love. 5 races into the 2022 season. We're already looking ahead to 2023, going who's moving where. But I think you're right. I mean, it can Van Erwin. It's a young team. We spoke to Roman Grosjean the other day on the live show around Austria, and he said exactly that. It's a young team. We've invested in them. But when they have a bit of success, they start thinking, hey, where else can I go? And you can't blame them.
You can't indeed. Let's take a look at some reaction from the drivers, actually, this time out. First up, Shanaka Clay went aggressive on strategy and tried to make something happen, but wasn't to be. Is what it is, have to get those better qualifying performances in. We have the pace and the results will come. You hope so for Williams, don't you, really?
Yeah.
Because 10th place is not good enough, unfortunately, for them. Fabrizio Donoso, Mr. Blue Tick himself, felt like one of my strongest races pace-wise. Need to sort out quali and will be up there. Well, look, we say quali's important, and the drivers do too. We're not talking rubbish, I promise. And then Jana Watmir, I'll just let you digest that meme. He does enjoy posting some memes to just take the edge off maybe the fact that the disappointment, I'm sure, is running through his veins a little bit, Hayden, at the start of this season.
Yeah, definitely. We learned what line was in Dutch
from
from Maxime yesterday. So do you remember what that was?
Leo.
Yeah, well.
That's how she pronounced it, so I'm saying exactly the
I
same.
don't know
I'm
if
not
that
100%
voice was
sure on it.
necessary. I don't...
But that's how she pronounced it. I was like, how do you pronounce it? She's like, Leo. And I was like, OK, cool.
OK.
I'll say that from now on.
Wow.
And slonger. Slonger? Slanger. Slonger?
Slonger and
Means snake.
Lauders.
Slongers and lauders.
Okay. I didn't need the dictionary. But thanks, everyone. That's Jana Watmir. And one final tweet. Thomas Ronhart, we've heard from him earlier, and we'll hear from him now. P7 today, just lacking straight line speed. Nothing else to say, really. Nothing more I could have done. On to the next one. Interesting that he put it down to straight line speed. I would argue that he didn't utilise qualifying and then also lost a few positions at the beginning, and it just didn't work out for him. I suppose that straight line speed, getting rid of that, he was probably hoping to be sort of top 2, top 3, and then it didn't matter so much. But if you fall further down the DRS train pack and don't have straight line speed,
yeah, I think it was a lot of things that went wrong. Obviously, the qualifying, not getting those laps in that you should have done. Also, I think overcutting a bit too late, lost a few positions there. And then, as you say, the setup-wise, they've obviously gone for something with higher wings to give them more aero, more downforce, would really help them through the middle sector. But that's not the overtaking part. You want the lower wings to give you the straight line speed down the straights to give you the best opportunity to overtake. And unfortunately for them, they were just stuck in the DRS train.
They were indeed. Now, Twitch chat, we want you to get involved. Send in your questions and your comments, or send it in via Twitter, #F1 Esports. Now, we haven't turned to Tom Deacon's journal yet, but it's open, it's ready. What have you got for us?
On the spot. All right. Well, we mentioned Shanaka's not racing today. We haven't seen the actual official lineup for the race today around Zandvoort. But Shanaka said only the start of the season. This is going in to Austria the other day. Only the start of the season. Let's come back now stronger. What I would pose at this point for a team like Williams right down there, after today, we're halfway through the season, and it then totally flips it on its head. The drivers that are struggling, that you love, that you're watching right now, you're thinking that pressure's only going to build, and especially for a team organisation thinking about that money at the end of the season and what they can do for next year.
It's crazy to think how quickly the season can evolve and develop. You know, they say, only the start of the season, but you've got 3 races in very quick succession, then, 4 events in total. It's not a lot of time to be like, we're missing a bit of pace, because you can't, if you're missing it in the first race, you're most likely going to miss it in the next 2 as well, and then you have to go back to the drawing board. So I know they're trying to G themselves up, but at the same time you go, well, it's not a 23 race season like we have in Formula 1. It's 12, you've got to maximise it.
Yeah, momentum's really important. As you said, with the different events, the event 1 was the Lucas Blakely show. Now event 2 is Freddie Rasmussen's coming, the star of this show. So, you've got to take that momentum and build upon it. And if you're having a bad one, then it's kind of like, oh, great, now I've got to look forward to event 3, put this one to the side and just focus on the next one.
Well, Freddie Rasmussen made it happen. Let's take a look at the quali format then, shall we? And what we've got coming up a little bit later. Q1, Q2, Q3, very much the same as Formula 1. The 5 slowest get dropped out in Q1. Then the next 5 slowest get dropped out in Q2. And the top 10 fight for pole position. Now, I think we should, well, actually, before we get to your predictions, let's take a look at what the grid looked like last year. And it was Barry Burmand ahead of Freddie Rasmussen. Will we see it again? Will we see that battle we saw yesterday? We'll have to wait and see. Lucas Blakely had a very strong quali as well. And Danny Moreno, we haven't mentioned him yet. He was 20th on the grid yesterday, wasn't able to score any points despite a reasonably strong drive back through the pack, but gave himself too much work to do. You've got to be bouncing back today, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, F1 Esports, if you're starting in 20th position, it is near impossible that you're going to be scoring any points in that. And round Zandvoort, you have to be in that top 10. It's anything else and you're going to be struggling massively. So very important qualifying session for him today, and fingers crossed for Mercedes they can have that better performance.
And we always go, quali's really important, yeah
we
quali
do.
show. But this quali show is probably the biggest of them all.
Yeah, just monitoring the last couple of weeks, all of the drivers getting used to Zandvoort, becoming absolute aliens on this track, and saying how much they were struggling with it. I think that's fair to say. They just found it like a bit, just crazy. That's the words they were using. You mentioned Danny Moreno, Matt. And
I reckon he's watching the show. There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
Hi, Danny.
Yeah, I've
Hope you're
tweeted.
good, mate. Yeah.
I didn't see a tweet after yesterday's result. However, kudos to him. Started in 20th, ended up 13th. And the day before, qualified 12th, got into the points, finished 8th in the end. And you know what? That Mercedes, it seems to be a sort of theme for them. They don't qualify the best. Jarno Opmeers had 5 poles in his career, yet had 9 wins. So these are the sort of guys that know they can do. But if you leave too much and this DRS train, it's going to be very difficult to do today. And I think that's going to add more pressure. And those drivers that haven't had that form, they are going to need to be really resilient today.
They will indeed. Right, shall we take a look at what the drivers have to deal with? I think we should. The Zandvoort circuit. And it's basically Monaco, isn't it, really? I know we don't have Monaco on the calendar, but this is as close as we're going to get to it. Very narrow. Mistakes are punished. It's going to be very interesting to see that. We've seen a couple of mistakes in qualifying this year. Jarno Opmeer in Austria. We had Freddie Rasmussen Imola. We don't usually see big mistakes in the quali show, but clearly the level these drivers have to get to this year to perform, we might well see a few more here in the Netherlands.
And we could quite see it today. Netherlands, the Zandvoort circuit, incredible one. There's lots of places to make mistakes around here. It's fast, it's flowing. You don't really have a time to breathe and relax. We talked about Spa yesterday. There's a lot of runoff area there that you have to use to gain every little margin. Here, there's none of that. Every part off the track is either grass or it's gravel. So you go onto that, you're going to be losing time and potentially losing your car as well.
Absolutely. Lots of pressure for the drivers. Let's take a look actually at the driver lineup, shall we? As they'll come up behind us. First page. And I want to say no surprise, Danny Beresne not in the Alfa Romeo lineup this time out after unfortunately not being able to score any points on his opportunities that he's had. Joni Tormela in the AlphaTauri alongside Sebastian Job.
Yeah, and for me, that's an absolute shock. You know, where's Josh Ido gone? After
very true.
Back-to-back third place finishes and third in quali as well.
That's mind-boggling.
It's blown my mind, I'll tell you that much, Matt.
I'm not... that's a big from me.
Well, you'd imagine that Yoni's obviously been practicing Zandvoort. That's
I'm sorry, but Josh Ido's in the form of his life.
Twitch is going crazy, I can imagine.
I can see it in my brain.
Don't stop him
second
now
page.
when he's got that momentum. It's
that's
crazy.
very strange. Second page, McLaren Shadow, Mercedes and Red Bull have not changed their lineups, but we've got a change, as I think you mentioned, Tom, in the Haas lineup. Stalkelek is now in for Van Erven. And then on the Williams side of things, it's Haddad and Caraton, so no Shanaka Clay. But we need to talk about Josh Ido not getting a run out here. Maybe it's in the plan, right? Maybe they have said, you don't get to race here and here. Joni Tormela, you need to practice. But Josh Ido...
Yeah. Josh, you've been turning your head around, looking at Marcel and Freddie too much. They're Red Bull. You've been told you're off. Simple as that.
You've enjoyed watching them so much, you can watch from the sidelines today.
Wow. It seems a little harsh, but yet there's obviously method to the madness. Sebastian Job, average quali position of 6th place, had a 10th. Well, he's had, in terms of performance, he's been fantastic this year. 6th place finish in Bahrain, 4th at Silverstone, and then 5th at Spa yesterday. So he's obviously in the points for AlphaTauri, but yet again, Joni Tormela, I mean, he's way down on this list, not picked up 1 point this season. It seems odd.
Look, I don't want to pile on pressure to Joni Tormela. He's a veteran of the series. He knows how to do this, but you have to say, if he's not at least making it into Q3, you'll be thinking, what could Josh Ido have done?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was my pick. I'm disappointed. We spoke about it at the end of last night's show that if we are going to have a new winner, who's it going to be? And I said Josh Edu, and he's not even here. He's let me down.
The one bit of rare light which we like to see, this is the sort of F1 Esports Series Pro Championship 2022. It's all about the year of the debut seasons. And Luke Smith gets to come out for Alpine. He had a 10th place finish at Silverstone, picking up a point for them. They've only had 5 so far, so best of luck to Luke, getting that opportunity to show what he's made of.
Trying to see if he's still using the fish helmet as well, because he's now my favourite driver because of that. So
is that why you've worn the yellow today for the fish-based helmet? It's just more gold.
More gold orange. So
sorry.
Yeah, we're not quite on the same colour scheme there, but maybe next time I'll try.
Sure. It's not far off, but okay, fine, be like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, no.
So Q1's underway, you'll be glad to see everybody. It's on your screens right now.
Oh yeah, because it's not very yellow at all, that.
Yeah.
No, I see how this is going to go today.
But the drivers are out there on intermediates, as they always are. If this is the first time watching at home.
Matt, would you like to know?
I was just telling everyone about the reason why they're on inters, but if you want to...
No, sorry, mate.
We'll come back to you, just saying about the intermediates. They're out there just to test their equipment. Yes, Tom?
I was just thinking people might want to know in terms of the average position, because it took a good 10 minutes.
You're so eager. I saw you writing it down, and you really wanted to get to it, didn't
Who's got the best average quali position?
Thomas Ronha.
Correct. Next, please, with 2.4, that is. Who's next?
Freddie Rasmussen.
That is correct. Who's next after that?
Lucas Blakely.
It's Barry Boromund with 4.2. Then it's Lucas Blake with 4.6. And then after that, next best is Sebastian Job. So Jarno Opmeer, 7.4. At this point, if I was to hazard a guess who was going to get pole position today, based on nothing other than these average positions, I would go outside and say Freddie Rasmussen.
So you're, OK, that's an outside bet, isn't it, Tom?
A little bit,
you get some good odds for that one. So Tom's gone with Freddie. Who are you going to predict?
Lucas Blakey's going to bounce back.
OK. OK. I was about to go with Opmeer again, but that's
dangerous. You can't.
But I just feel like at some point it's going to click for him. But maybe not yet. as we go to full screen, I know that you'll all be very happy at home that we've gone full screen, but they're still on intermediate tyres. Who are we going to stick on pole? Nicholas Longuet. I reckon he's a bit of a one-lap specialist. We've seen that in the past, and he has been there or thereabouts.
He was up there yesterday.
Yeah.
Definitely fighting in the top 10. I think he was 6th, I think, in qualifying yesterday. So
I'm pretty sure, was this the track as well where Nicholas Longway was born?
I think it was. It's gone the long way round.
Yeah.
Yes, in terms of Nicholas Longuet, P6 in Spielberg, and then he had a P5 at Spa. Interesting enough, though, Williams, if they do not get out of Q1 today, Matt, Hayden, that is it. Curtains.
That's it. Wow, you're just shutting down the operation.
I'm shutting it down at the halfway point at this point, and I would say that they just have to give themselves the best opportunity they can, and they haven't been able to. They reckon the pace is there. It just hasn't been up to their expectation of what they expected to get, and that just goes to show how competitive it really is out there.
It certainly is. We've, of course, as you can see, everyone in the pits at the moment. No reason for them to be setting lap times. As we've seen as a kind of running theme this year, it's been Aston Martin that has given us some entertainment for the first laps in Q1. Nothing really other than putting a banker in, but they've always been running slightly out of sync of everyone else. Any other reasons for that?
The only reason I can suggest is for the free air and not have to worry about getting involved in traffic. And there we go, we've got one heading out now, perfectly predicted. But around here, around Spa yesterday, it's a very long lap, so we didn't really see too many use the intermediate tyres, but here it's such a short lap, it's just over the minute mark. So we're going to see a lot of drivers taking their time, being patient, waiting till the end of the session to get on the soft runs. And finally, we've got somebody, and it is Simon Weigang, who is going to be pushing on those soft tyres in a moment.
We've noticed over the last couple of days, actually, Aston Martin do like to set an early lap time and just get themselves comfortable. Evans will be out very closely, I would have thought, after Simon. Yeah, they're both out because they want to set that time and then build on it. And Mr. Invalidator, I don't think anyone else is calling that, Thomas Ronnar,
Of all the things he's achieved this season, Mr. Invalidator is the name we're going to give him.
Based on 2 days, and yesterday really, he just get heart and mouth moments when you're just like, Thomas, we're on the final corner. Don't invalidate now. But obviously, one-shot quali proving why he is the absolute mustard at the moment.
Yeah, and invalidating, it's probably not going to be as easy around here, which is a good thing for the drivers. It's either you stay on the track or you don't around here, which is why it's such a classic old school track at Zandvoort. And here we go then. Simon Weigang is going to be our first hot lap of the day. Q1, plenty of time in the bank if this lap does not go to plan. And I'm sure Weigang will not push too hard. But something we spoke about yesterday, which I find very interesting, the breathing, the fact that Simon is controlling when he's taking deep breaths to make sure his body is as composed as possible through the corners. It's kind of similar to F1 driver techniques, but obviously they do their breathing because of the getting ready for the G-forces. Of course, there's no real G-forces here. But still, just to keep that focus and mentality, it's really fascinating to see.
Well, there's a lot of force feedback coming through the wheel. It is actually quite physical when you're doing this because you have that feedback coming through the steering wheel, but it's more about the heart rate. In these high pressure situations, their heart rate's going to be, around the 150 mark at the moment. So that breathing is to try and keep it calm and collected, because if you're getting that heart rate too high, that's when the mistakes start to come in. So the breathing is just to control that, bring the heart rate down, and just remember he knows exactly what he's doing instead of letting it get ahead of himself.
I think some of his working out, I don't know what else to call it, weightlifting, his power training would help him as well. I know Jarno was doing a bit of that over the last couple of years, and that only helps the body, the form, sitting there comfortably, be as relaxed as possible. And yeah, in the zone there with a 1.10.
1 minute 10.290 for Weigang, and it's a 10.367 for John Evans. Slightly behind his teammate, seems to be a running trend. Evans just slightly off what Weigang managed to achieve, but two bankers set for Aston Martin at the moment. You speak about force feedback, Hayden. My understanding is a lot of the drivers run very different settings. Some will have very light force feedback because they just rely on what they see and maybe what they hear as well in their headsets, and others maybe want to feel that a bit more on the steering wheel. It all comes down to driving style at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. It all comes down to personal preference. I mean, some drivers, like you say, will have a higher force feedback. I can only speak from personal experience. I'm a little bit too heavy on my right foot. I get down the throttle a little bit too hard, so I feel the back end stepping out of me every now and again. So I use that force feedback to keep that under control. These guys are going to be a lot more experienced than myself. They're going to be a bit better than myself as well. So they're going to be able to use the sound and just, they have that experience to not get on the throttle too early, so they don't have to have the force feedback too high, because the problem is, as well, you're going to be feeling the bumps of the track, and the bumps of the track can easily make the car understeer, especially have that high force feedback on the wheel as well. As we've got Daniele Haddad starting his lap now.
Come on, Daniele, come on!
Yep, we need a special performance from Williams here today. Q1 is an absolute minimum to make it out for these drivers. Daniele Haddad, he's had a couple of great performances. I seem to remember maybe Silverstone was one where he performed last year. But Daniele Haddad, look at the concentration.
Concentration, or is he getting his head down to get that extra aerodynamic down the straight?
The airflow, maybe.
Yeah.
That's something you do in karting, that is.
His one podium back in Japan, 2020. 33 races coming into this season, 46 points in total. Yeah, 9 total points at Aston Martin. So if anyone needs a few more points on the board and show what he's made of, that's Daniele. Come on, let's get to Q2. Come on.
A fascinating driving position that he's going with there. He is absolutely at one with the car. It's an interesting. Well, it works as well. He's gone fastest with a 1 minute 10.185.
His teammate Caraton, though, looking like he's going a little bit quicker than him as well.
Yeah, he's gone
very close times at the moment.
400ths quicker in the middle, matched him in the first, so it's going to be very close between the two Williams drivers, but that's going to cause a little bit of concern for the Aston Martin drivers, who have been beaten by Haddad and now beaten by Alvaro Caraton as well. 2 1 minute 10.1s for the Williams drivers. What about Patrick Sheepos round the final corner, our penultimate corner, I suppose. This banking's not exactly anything to worry about for Patrick in the Alpine. Where can he go? He goes fastest, a 1 minute 10.097. So Simon Weigang, especially for having such a great top 10 streak at the moment, will definitely have to be finding a couple of tenths if he wants to be safe and go through to Q2.
Luke Smith, fastest through the first sector so far, 10th down in the middle one, so he's definitely going to be around the Daniel Haddad mark at the moment, coming down across the line. Mr. Fish helmet, and there we go, P3 splits Daniel Haddad and Alvaro Caraton. We've got Nicholas Longue coming across the line now as well, and he's going to be putting it on top into the 110.0. Nobody into the 109s yet.
And there's his teammate as well, Thomas, on P6. And here's Jarno Opmeer. Needs a good qualifying today. He needs to get back in this championship fight. A top 3 is pretty much what he needs, you'd have to say, this afternoon to give him any kind of chance at the victory this evening. Jarno Opmeer, how is he looking through the first 2 sectors? He's half a tenth off the best in the first, half a tenth off the best in the middle. So this should very much put him in the mix at the top. How is his final sector looking? We'll have to find out and see. Jarno Opmeer, what is his first lap in Q1 going to look like? P4 in between Caraton and Smith. Marcel Kiefer goes up to P2, and I have a very big feeling we're going to see a very close qualifying. Danny Moreno, that's not going to give him much confidence. After 20th yesterday, he will be under pressure once again. Only a 1 minute 10.250. Lucas Blakely has seen his championship lead whittled down to only 5 points. We'll wait to see where Freddie Rasmussen goes on his first flying lap. Can Lucas Blakely take the pressure off? He can indeed. He goes fastest of anybody. Freddie Rasmussen now comes over the line. Oh, he's going to go fastest again. They're all in this 1 minute 10.0 club at the top. 5 drivers there at the moment. Does Brendan Lee join them? He does not. A 10.198. Barry Burremand now also joins the 10.0 club. Thomas Ronhaar, is he going to have a decent lap? Oh, wow, it is decent. The first driver into the 1 minute 9s. And after that shaky qualifying yesterday, Ronhaar's gone, that was just an anomaly, guys. I'm back.
Yeah. Stop calling me Mr. Invalidator.
That was you. No one else.
Tom Deacon, stop calling me Mr. Invalidator.
We're going to see a comparison between Ronhaar and Rasmussen, and where the time was won and lost. Oh, huge amounts of time lost and gained in those sectors. I'm sure if we had a side-by-side replay, we would have no idea where that time was lost. But Rasmussen just under half a tenth between these two. And as we approach the halfway point of the season, you do wonder whether it will be Ronhaar versus Rasmussen for the rest of the season. And will Ronhaar regret Bahrain in particular when we get to race 12?
It's looking like that. I mean, let's not count Lucas Blakely out. He's still on the edge of it as well. But 0.05 of a second is equivalent to just over a tenth in Belgium, maybe even more than that, 0.2. So it is a really big gap between Thomas Ronhaar and Frederick Rasmussen so far in this qualifying session. A great lap from him.
Half a tenth.
It is.
God.
Around Zandvoort, it's a very, very short lap. So he's going to be very happy with that at the moment. Might even sit out, save a set of tyres, and that will help him later on in the qualifying session. We look like maybe Alvaro Caraton starting his lap now as he heads down into the first corner. You want to get hard on the brakes, then take a later apex through this corner. Use a little bit of the curb on the left-hand side, then use a lot of it again as you throw the car through the right. Sort of V-shape this corner, get the car back round and then on the throttle, but don't let it step out on you as you rise up the hill. Now it's completely flat out all the way through this section. A chance to take a breather, but you have to be on it. Dab the brakes, throw it in to the right. Really hug the curb on the right-hand side and then get the car back over to the left. Hug the apex on the right again, use the curb on the left, and then a little touch of brake as you go in through that right-hander, and then set the car up again. It just switches left and right, a roller coaster ride around this Zandvoort circuit. You have to be on it because you can see barriers, grass, gravel all over the place. No chance to invalidate. Now take as much of this curb on the right-hand side as you possibly can. Hug the left-hander, and then heading into 2 last corners, back on the throttle, little dab of brake at the 50-metre board, touch of the curb on the right, use a little bit on the left, and then really tight through this banking. In real life, they get the car over to the left-hand side, but in esports, you want to hug it on the right. That's the lap for Alvaro Caraton, and it puts him up into P2.
Very nice lap from Alvaro Caraton. Thank you for that wonderful run through, Hayden Gullis. Caraton, P2. That may well give him confidence, but we have P2 all the way down to 10th in the 1 minute 10 zeros. And Jarno Opmeer He is 1/10 of a second away from second, but currently sitting 13th, Tom Deacon.
Yeah. It's it doesn't surprise me on the current form with Jarno, but I'm sure he will save the best as we're watching him at the moment on the softs, trying to set an even better time. I look down towards Sebastian, and I think I'm a little bit surprised about where he's currently sitting. I know he's got plenty of time to get another lap in quickly and try and get into Q2, but yeah, Jarno just warming up those tyres. Warm, because he needs to send it.
He does indeed. It's worth mentioning Sebastian Job, but also his teammate Joni Tormula. Is Josh Edo sitting there thinking,
He's looking over his shoulder. He's thinking,
come on,
done?
we need at least one car into Q2, if not both of them. They had such a great point score in Spa, but this would be quite the reversal for them if they were both knocked out in Q1. Right now, Daniele Haddad's done a great job for Williams, as Jarno Wotmir needs to do a good job for Mercedes. Into turn one comes Jarno Wotmir. He needs to find 1/10 of a second. That's all he needs to find. It's very difficult around a circuit like Zandvoort into the bowl. Very difficult to get right. It's a blind crest as you come over the hill. How much curb do you try and take? As Jarno Wotmir will be hurtling towards the first sector. Donoso has gone fastest of anybody, 14th at the moment, but first sector flying. Wotmir, 0.02 of a second slower than what Donoso has managed through the first sector. It is comparable up and down the field. Everyone going through there is within 0.5. This could evolve very, very quickly. You need to be putting in a solid lap here. You probably top 6 or 7 if you want to feel utterly safe here. Just because you are Barry Burramund in 8th does not mean you are safe. The track evolution is ramping up. Jarno Wotmir will be one of the first to cross the line. Daniele Haddad's already finished his runs, it needs to be said as well, and he is dropping down the field. Donoso's managed P4. Here's Jarno Wotmir, currently 14th, goes up to P4 with a 10.034. It is so close. Marcel Kiefer dips into the 1:09 now, which is a great lap for him. Who else is out there improving? Brendan Lee's done the fastest middle sector of anybody. What about Thomas? He goes up to P16, but that is not going to be enough for the Alfa Romeo driver. He will not find his way through. Danny Moreno, that's the lap he was looking for. Goes fastest of anybody. Brendan Lee only manages 12th. John Evans is out of qualifying. We've got Daniele Haddad missing out as well. It is changing absolutely everywhere. Nicholas Longue's now gone fastest. And Simon Weigang has dropped out of qualifying as well. So it's Weigang, Haddad, Evans, Staukalek and Paradis are the bottom 5 in Q1. Such a shame. Lucas Blakely very close to the bubble, but is not going to be knocked out no matter what he does. He goes up to P2 anyway. Such a shame for Haddad. And there is Lucas Blakely.
It was a great improvement from Daniele as well to get that 10.09, but that just goes to show there's nothing. There's nothing in it.
Let's just digest that a second. Let's just digest the gaps, because this is absolutely obscene.
Just over 2/10.
We see some of the drivers. So
2.5 tenths.
Staukalek. Well, I mean, let's just go from 1st to 16th here. 1/10.
Wow.
1/10
Yeah.
between 17 drivers. This is getting ridiculous.
It
now.
is ridiculous. Positive story, you can see there, Luke Smith getting through to Q2, so keeping up that form, finished 10th at Silverstone. But yeah, Daniele Haddad will be annoyed. However, the flip side to that is Vado Caraton making it through. Aston Martin, forget about this race because both Weigang and Evans out, unfortunately, and Thomas Paradis getting that race ahead of Danny Berezny, unable to improve on that. And Piotr Stahalec, I know personally from watching the Pro Exhibition how quick he is, just not able to show that so far in this championship.
I'm not over it.
You're not over it?
I'm not over these gaps. That is absolutely obscene. That is ridiculous. I know it's Zandvoort, but what?
Yeah, it's insane. But like I said, some of these gaps are going to be equivalent to 2/10.
Yeah, but we've raced around here before. I don't think we've seen that ever.
Nah, definitely. Like it's the same as Austria as well. It's the same sort of lap time. You're just going to see a tenth separating so many drivers. This is F1 Esports. They're all just so on it. Good day so far for Shipos, Kiefer and Moreno, all getting through Q1 and quite highly as well, up into the top 10.
Let's take a look at how Simon Weigang reacted after being knocked out in Q1 and not particularly happy at all. Of course, scoring some good points this season, has been looking pretty good.
Yeah.
But he knows how important qualifying is around such a difficult circuit like Zandvoort.
Yeah, he had a 4th place finish in Bahrain, 9th in Imola, then 18th, then 2 back-to-back 10-place finishes for him. And I think if Weigand's out of the points, I don't see anyone else at Aston Martin currently getting a point. So big opportunity, I will say, for Alpine to maybe put some pressure on the team above them, which is Aston Martin, because as you mentioned, Hayden, Shipos is through to Q2.
Speaking of Q2, it's on our screens right now.
Oh, in the garages. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, they're not out on track
Nothing's
just
happening.
yet, but worth mentioning that Tormula made it through. So that'll be a sigh of relief for him, I'm sure. Stepping in for Josh Edu, as we said, as the drivers are now rolling themselves out the pits. And I think crucially as well with this, unless you're a Nicolas Longuet, who, to be fair, put his lap in right at the end to do a mid 1 minute 9.9, which sounds weird to be going mid for the 100th rather, but that's how close it is. The fact that Longuet is able to put that lap in should give him some confidence to step on and maybe make my prediction correct. But also it's crucial that I don't think any of these drivers can feel safe.
No, definitely not. Like we've spoke about it so much so far, with the gaps being so small between all these drivers. You cannot relax. I don't think you can do a Freddie Rasmussen and go into the 3rd sector and be like, yeah, okay, we're just going to lift off, just going to take this one easy. It's not going to happen around here, especially as it's such a difficult track to get right as well. But for Nicolas Longuet, he has been brilliant for Alpha in this event alone, in qualifying every single time into the top 10, into Q3. Will we see it again? He is definitely up there, but the likes for Thomas Ronhaar and Freddie Rasmussen, and I believe there was another one as well who did not do a final lap, was in the pits. They're going to have that extra set of soft tyres, which is either going to help them in this session or potentially in Q3 as well.
Yeah, and that's big for Ronhaar. The fact that he was able to put in a 1 minute 9 before the track evolved to its final form in Q1. So that was a big lap from Ronhaar, and showing the opposite kind of mentality to maybe what he was showing in Spa, where he was invalidating everywhere. Longuet slightly, would you say, his racing line there maybe not optimal? It seemed like he was a little bit deep going into the bowl, but let's have a look and see. Nicolas Longuet, of course, these will be a used set of soft tyres, you'd have to imagine, with the fact that he went twice in Q1, but still looking quite good to continue his Q3 streak.
Yeah, I think a good thing for him, though, is that Danny isn't in the car, because we saw yesterday, every time he's hitting that brake pedal, the whole place is shaking. So there's a bit more stability for him in this race.
They need to get a Richter scale in the room, don't they, every time Danny Resnay's on the simulator.
But yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of different lines that the drivers are going to be taking around this circuit, certain corners, the bowl being one of them. But, and potentially that right hand that we've just seen as you enter the end of the DRS straight. You've got to really use a lot of curb, but if you haven't got the ride height correct, the car's really going to bounce over it and you're going to lose control.
1 minute 10.3 for Nicolas Longuet, a 10.3 for Luke Smith as well. A 10.2 for Barry Burramund. That's a decent lap. Jarno Watmir, 10.4. Just missing that 10th or 2 at the moment is Jarno Watmir. Thomas Ronhaar, has he gone for a fresh set straight away? Maybe not. 10.235, potentially. Danny Moreno, great lap from him at the end of Q1. Will give him some confidence after what must have been a very, very difficult Belgian Grand Prix yesterday. Alvaro Carreton, flying the flag for Williams now in Q2. Can Alvaro make it through to Q3, Tom?
There's only one flag, I've just been told, at Williams, and he is flying it. Sometimes some teams get 2, just 1 for the Williams this year. Alvaro Carreton doing what he does best. Never won a race. He would be still looking for his maiden victory in the F1 Esports. 164 combined points going into this season. He's got 1, so add it on, 165 points. So Alvaro Carreton, very experienced. Fingers crossed for me, bit biased, that he gets into Q3.
So do you reckon Carreton's flying the flag for potentially having 3 from 3 first-time winners? Is that who we're hoping for here?
Looking at the names at the top, I think potentially it could be Patrick Shipos maybe surprising us. I was just watching, actually, Freddie Rasmussen round that final corner. The precision from him to ride the right-hand wheel on that white line and not overstep it, because as soon as you touch the grass, you're losing control. The back end's going to step out on you and you're going to be heading for that barrier. So the precision from these drivers is absolutely insane.
Inch perfect.
Millimetre.
Millimetre perfect.
Yeah, whatever's the next one.
The eyelashes of a fly, perfect.
Worth mentioning, speaking of millimetres, Lucas Blakely exceeded track limits, so he did not get a lap in, and this is what happened. Did he cut the corner? He did.
Naughty, naughty.
It's very easy to do because you can mount that curb pretty hard, but he just turned in that ever slightly too much and then straight away, gone.
Yeah, it's the only place where you can gain time from, exceeding a little bit of the track, as we're looking at the gaps between Boromund and Rasmussen, and there's nothing really in it. 18,000.
I want to see Boromund versus Ronhar, because that's only 3,000ths of a second. Oh, apparently, I've been told in my ear, does anyone want to see Brendan Lee singing?
Do I?
Yeah?
Yes, please.
Let's do it. Oh, we're not getting the audio.
Eye of the tiger, the fin and the fight is the... Oh, yeah! When you close your eyes, you know you're hitting some notes.
It's amazing. When we said, do we want to hear Brendan Lee singing, we didn't say, do we want to hear Tom Deacon singing? That was... maybe got slightly confused there, Tom.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right.
I've let you down, but I didn't hear any sound. I would have shut up immediately if I'd have heard sound.
Brendan was vibing. I don't know what to.
We were told in our ear, would you like to hear Brendan? We saw him sing.
Yeah, we were...
Very different.
Missold. Yeah, we were missold.
Maybe
anyway.
Team radio in a bit.
He could have been screaming for all we know. He could have been shouting for help. Come on, how do we get through to Q3? Somebody here, help me.
He might need some help. He's in the pits at the moment. He hasn't set a lap time yet. Hasn't bothered with a used set of soft tyres. Patrick Shipos is the only driver out on track at the moment. Currently P7. Running slightly out of sync with everybody else. Just wants to get his lap out of the way.
Yeah, interesting, because he's already done one lap so far on a used set of tyres. So would this be on another set of used tyres? Because usually the drivers are going to now wait until the end of this session. So interesting that he's gone for another lap here.
We'll find out. If he dips anywhere near the 1 minute 9s, we'll know this is a new set of soft tyres. And you have to imagine at the end of this Q2 session, we will be maybe dipping into the 0.8s, 0.7s, as we've seen with Track Evolution for the rest of this season so far. And if you've been tuning into all the quali shows, thank you. Hope you're enjoying it at home. Midway through Q2 at the moment. Patrick Shipos, what can he do in the Alpine? A lot of other drivers on outlaps, as you can see on your screens. We'll keep an eye on the sector times. So the fastest first sector we have seen so far in this session is a 24.451. You can see in the top right-hand side of your screen, when he goes through that first sector, it will tell you how much quicker or slower he is on the time he has set already, which is a 1 minute 10.328. You'd imagine new soft tyres is going to be a big improvement. It is. A 10.5 up through that first sector, and the fastest first sector we have seen. No surprise there. The first run on brand new soft tyres. Into the middle sector we go. Misses the apex slightly there, and you can see wrestling the car there. Not ideal for Shipos, and this is going to have to be a mega last half of the lap, as that will have cost him a 10th, and we know how much a 10th means around Zandvoort.
Yeah, it's a lot. I wonder whether that seat that he's in currently is a bit too big for him, because he's really sliding about in that right now. But yeah, 1/10 gained in the first sector is huge. Also goes quickest in the second sector, as you said. So now coming around the last corner, down to the line, this should be on top for Shipos, and yes it is, into the 109.9s as well. So definitely a fresh set of soft tyres on him there, as Brendan Lee goes for another lap.
But is that going to be good enough? Is that mistake that Shipos made in the middle sector going to cost him a chance into Q2? Yes, he is first at the moment, but we've got drivers everywhere improving at the moment. Moreno's gone fastest in the first sector. Brendan Lee's gone fastest in the middle. Scratch that. Jarno Otmir has gone fastest in the middle sector. Fabrizio Donoso, there's a 1 minute 9.919 to go fastest. Luke Smith has just slotted in behind his teammate as Brendan Lee now goes second. A lot of 1 minute 9.9s. Add another one to that as Nicholas Longay goes fastest. You have to be at the top of that 1 minute 9.9 club if you want to be safe. Jarno Otmir joins as well in P4. Marcel Kiefer goes to second place in the Red Bull, somehow goes in between Longier and Donoso. Barry Burman, the first driver into the 1 minute 9.8. Yoni Tormler, pressure on his shoulders. Where can he go? P6 in the AlphaTauri. For now, all of a sudden, Shipos down to 9th. Improvements everywhere. Danny Moreno goes second in the Mercedes, and Jarno Wotmer is under a lot of pressure at the moment. Here's Lucas Blakely. Has not set a time yet. Made a mistake on his first lap. Freddie Rasmussen into the 0.7s now. Great lap from Freddie. Lucas Blakely, championship leader, currently sits 6th. Thomas Ronhaar goes to 2nd. Mr. Consistent is Thomas Ronhaar, always towards the front of the field. Same for Freddie Rasmussen. And we will get one more final go, as we've got 5 minutes of the session remaining.
Incredible. A 1 minute 09.7 for Freddie Rasmussen. Epic stuff from him.
Again, 700ths clear of second place, but that's a big margin.
Take a bow, and
take
also
a brow.
take a brow.
Anybody's brow. Which one? One of you has to lose your brow.
Take a breather as well. I just mixed them both together. But yeah, take a breather. I'm sure that's him done now in Q2, and he's going to have so many sets of tyres ready for Q3 to really go at it in that session. But that is a benchmark. Thomas Ronhaar is going to have to really find something to beat that. That is a whopping gap around here. But looking at the drivers who are currently at risk, Brendan Lee, Jarno Wotmer, Shipos, Luke Smith, Sebastian Job, all the drivers down there, all in the 109.9s. But it looks like maybe you're going to have to try and sneak into the 108s or just be on that low 109 to get
108s?
Yeah. 108.
109.
19.8.
I know, it's like the gaps are so small.
You've really got to go for something.
If someone goes in the 108s, we'll just give them the championship trophy now, shall we? But yes, I'm glad that they've all got into the 1 minute 9s, otherwise that would kind of annoy me. Sebastian Job, 1 minute 9.999. So thank you, Job, for doing that. But Tormler's doing a great, I don't want to say job, I just said job. Great performance. There you go.
It's hard not to.
Really difficult.
You have to say his surname first. Job, aka Sebastian, has done a brilliant job.
No, that still doesn't work.
Does that not work?
No, it doesn't. But there's Thomas Ronhaar coming into the pits.
Top work
Yeah,
from Sebastian.
That works. Again, why did I say that? I said the same word again. 3 minutes 20 to go. Freddie Rasmussen can take a chill pill and chill out in the garage, yes?
I was just wondering who Hayden thinks isn't going out again to. You said Freddie Rasmussen. Is there anyone?
I think Freddie,
Thomas won't go out.
potentially Thomas and Barry and Danny might sit in as well because they're in the 0.8.
It's risky though, isn't it? Because you look at Brendan Lee, who is exactly 1/10 pretty much, or just over, behind Burmand in third, with the track slightly evolving. You can't just say that these drivers are absolutely not going to improve by 1/10 of a second, can you? It's a risk that potentially you'll reap the rewards, but if you are Danny Moreno in 4th, for example, 7 drivers improve past you and he starts 11th, after 20th yesterday, is that a risk he should be willing to take?
Probably not. Probably not one that you would want to take, but it's all about being confident in yourself, whether you have the ability, whether you trust the other drivers can put it in. I'm sure a lot of these other drivers have been able to put lap times into the 0.7s in their practice building up to this event, but it's whether they can now replicate it on the big stage. But the likes of Jarno Wotmer and Brendan Lee, previous champions in this series, are going to have to really go for it to get back into that top 10.
Yeah, Lee and Otmere currently, if things stay as they are, out of Q2. But one final attempt, and as you predicted right now, the top 4 are not going out. Is Danny Moreno going to regret that? We will see. Still a little bit of time. There you go, Moreno comes out. I was about to say, still got a bit of time if you do want to come out the pits. Moreno clearly watching this broadcast and taking our advice. Absolutely not. Top 3 still in the pits. So Burmand would be the next vulnerable. No, Ronhaar comes out and Burmand. So there you go, Freddie Rasmussen, the only driver that feels safe with that whopping lap time of a 0.7. And Freddie is just in another planet at the moment when it comes to qualifying. If he's on pole here, that's 4 in a row, isn't it?
Yeah, a great lap from him. I think they're going out last because they can see what all the other drivers are doing. So if they don't if they don't beat their lap time, they can come back into the pits and they still have a half-used-ish set to use.
It helps a little bit for the banker, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. What do you want to say, Tom?
No, you don't.
I hear you at the side. Oh.
Did you hear?
That's just how he breathes.
That's very loudly. I need to talk to Simon Weigang to understand a bit better. Yeah, 31 pole positions for Freddie Rasmussen in F1 Esports. Remarkable, incredible. Whether he can turn them into wins or not is the only thing holding him back so far this season. But if it's about the points, it's about that team championship, what is different today is Marcel Kiefer looking pretty good, currently in 8th place at the moment. If he can get up in that top 10 and get to Q3, then I think we will see a bit more of a killer instinct Freddie Rasmussen today.
Here we go then, Q2, final runs happening right now. Jarno Opmeer is improving in the first sector and pretty much the same in the middle sector as we've seen. Fastest middle sector for Longe, fastest first sector for Blakely. But if you look at the timing screens, they're all in the 0.3s for the first sector, pretty much all in the 0.2s for the middle. This is going to come down to thousandths of a second. Where can Jarno Opmeer put himself? It's up to P3. That's a great lap from Jarno Opmeer. Marcel Kiefer now comes over the line, can only manage 6th. He may well be vulnerable. Nicolas Longe, 8th at the moment in the Alfa Romeo, goes to the top of the timings with a 1 minute 9.758. Brendan Lee, currently 12th. Out of qualifying if it stays this way. Where does he go? Up to P4. Alvaro Carreton has put himself 3rd place. Lucas Blakely needs to improve. Goes up to P4. All of a sudden, Kiefer is out of qualifying again, as is Smith, as is Shepos. We've seen an improvement out there. Donoso is now out of qualifying. Yoni Tormler, can he make it out? No, he cannot. Only 12th. Ronhard does not need to improve. Goes up to 5th anyway. So there you go. Barry Burmand also brings himself up to P2, but it's Donoso, Tormler, Kiefer, Smith and Shepos, the drivers to miss out. Moreno scrapes through by 3 thousandths of a second. Both Mercedes scraped through by 100th. They'll be counting their lucky stars.
Moreno was actually very lucky because he came into the pits. He aborted his lap before Yoni Tormler had finished his. If Yoni Tormler was on a better lap than him, he would have been out. I noticed Shepos, unfortunately, invalidating his lap, so he had to bail out of that one as well. But yeah, Marcel Kiefer, it just keeps on happening to him, doesn't it?
Great work from Sebastian Job. Top work from him because he's into Q3. Every Grand Prix so far this season, Bahrain, he did it, got into the top, into Q3. He did it for Silverstone and he did it for Spa. He does it again for Zandvoort. This guy is on fire this year.
He certainly is, and we need to talk about Longe once again, topping qualifying. Yes, he went for an extra lap. Rasmussen's definitely the star of Q2, only taking one set of new soft tyres. Carreton, great to see him up in 4th. Williams, good opportunity here. I don't want to jinx it, but
You're jinxing it. Don't do that.
This is good.
As a Williams fan, I don't want you jinxing this.
He's already made it through to Q3. That's fine. He's safe.
Yeah, that's a great. He had a day off from Spa and obviously come back very refreshed and feels ready to go. But Q3 is brilliant for Williams. It gives him such a good chance, a particular track like Zandvoort, to get in the points.
Got some reactions from Kiefer and Smith now. From Kiefer, it just does not. It's not working for him at the moment.
I don't know why I'm expecting Josh Edo's face to appear in that screen, just over his shoulder. Just go, hey, Marcel, do you want anything? I'm off to the canteen. Would you like a tea, a coffee, a biscuit?
Hopefully not too much.
No, exactly.
And here's Luke Smith. Once again, didn't make it through to Q3, unfortunately for him. But I'm sure with every turn of the wheel in the F1 Esports Series Pro Championship, he will be learning, he will be dealing with the pressure, and he will get there. So there you go. There's the eliminated drivers in Q2. Donoso, Tormler, Kiefer, Smith and Shepos. And you'll be pleased to know that Q3 has begun.
Yes.
So we have got our final part of qualifying coming underway.
How difficult is it in terms of a, I don't know, percentage or scale, however you want to look at it, gentlemen, in terms of those guys that have just gone out in Q2 getting in the points? How difficult is a track like Zandvoort for them?
Possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. I think they have a better chance if one of their teammates is in Q3, like we saw with Blakely using Bouremond. Maybe there could be some alternate strategies at play because of how difficult it is to overtake here. Do we see some medium tyres again? I hope so, because it allowed for an interesting storyline for us. Ronhart is actually one of the first drivers out there to give us a lap. So I feel like we should ride on board with him and take a look around this Zandvoort circuit. What can Ronhart put on the board straight away? You'd imagine this is not going to be a fresh set of softs. There he is in your bottom left-hand side of your screen. And I think on acceleration, that kind of tells you they aren't fresh softs.
Yeah, the first corner, the most important one on the lap, because it can make and break it. He's made a mistake there. He's going to be maybe a little bit down on what his previous delta would be from the other sessions. But now maybe he can pick it up over the rest as well. He did go out in the previous session on that set of tyres, but he aborted it, went back into the pits, I believe. So he has got, half used set of tyres that he will be running right now in this session.
Another correction we just saw there on the exit curb just before that last corner. Had to get out of the throttle. Ron Hart not on a stunning lap, it has to be said. Watch him go into the 1 minute 9.6s now that I've said that, but I don't think, no, he's not saying any times alike at all. Rasmussen behind him has gone 1.5 tenths quicker in the first sector, another 1.5 tenths quicker in the middle sector. Rasmussen using the fresh set of softs that he has available, the extra fresh set of softs available to good use. Ron Hart comes straight into the pits. He's not even going to bother to finish that lap. Freddie Rasmussen, what's he going to put as the benchmark? It's a 1 minute 9.8 straight away out the blocks. That is a very good banker for Rasmussen to build on. Not as quick as what we saw at the end of Q2, but certainly allows for him to push hard on his next lap.
Something he can build on for sure, and you know, especially if the other drivers invalidate or make mistakes, he's still going to be up there regardless of what everybody else does at the moment as well. But for him, he's going to be wanting to get into that 0.7s. He knows he can do it, and that is where the pole time is going to be.
You have to think that is a solid lap time to maybe secure him a top 5, maybe. We will have to wait and see. Freddie Rasmussen is in the form of his life, at least in qualifying. Maybe he's gone back to the drawing board a little bit. We'll see in the race whether he'll be happy to follow whoever's leading for the entirety of it, or maybe he'll decide, like he did for the British Grand Prix, lead from the front.
Yeah.
That was the thing, right? That's the difference between the two races he's lost. I say lost, finishing second, where he's followed the driver and not been able to overtake them. British Grand Prix, he just drove away from Ron Hart on that final lap.
Yeah, lost in terms of you started on pole and you've let someone else get the win.
Second is the first of the losers.
That's what I've been saying for years. People say, stop being so harsh, Tom. Chill out. It's good to see Mercedes, if you're a Mercedes fan and a big fan of Jarno Opmeer and wanting him to get his 3rd championship, which a lot of people do because he's an absolute beast when it comes to being out there racing. When Danny Moreno is in Q3, you get the best results for Jarno in terms of his 2nd place finish in Bahrain at the start of this season. So that is a good omen for Jarno Opmeer.
We need some good luck if you're a Lucas Blakely fan as well, because Lucas, he's been having some, you know, on social media, for example, he's been quite happy with his comeback drives that he's had, but we can't be having too many comeback drives if you want to win the championship, especially in the form that Freddie Rasmussen is in right now. And you have to say, if Freddie is in that position of P2 again, you're probably not expecting him to finish there, if you take into account how much he would have learnt over those last 2 races. Here's Lucas Blakely into turn 1. Needs to get himself in the mix. Yes, that alternate strategy yesterday was great to get him up a few positions, but it wasn't able to bring him into contention for winning the race. His teammate, Barry Buremund, a great result for him and for the McLaren Shadow team. But ideally, just like we've seen in the past with Bahrain, for example, both of them working together to beat Jarno Opmeer on that occasion, if they can both get in the top 4, top 5, it's going to be a different story for them.
Yeah, I mean, Barry's been, in this event, maybe the driver who's looked a bit more on top. The race win yesterday, and now is looking like he's on the back foot. He's on the edge of being in championship contention. Blakely now only has a 5-point lead over Rasmussen as well, so he's going to need a great qualifying here. Needs to out-qualify his teammate, because if Barry starts getting good results, then how long is it until those two start fighting inside the team as well? It's all lovey-dovey at the moment, but if they are fighting for a championship, is that going to be a problem for that McLaren team? At the moment, it's all fine, as Opmeer puts in a 10.2. So you've got to say that was on used tyres.
You can guarantee that, I think. Lucas Blakely, I think this will be a used set as well. It's a 10.1 for Lucas Blakely. 3 tenths off what Freddie Rasmussen has achieved. Brendan Lee, what's he doing out there? Nothing that is too exciting. Ron Haar's gone fastest in the first sector. Brendan Lee over the line. It's a 10.0. Not too bad of a banker as Nicholas Longay now goes second at 10.019. Barry Buremund at 10.002. So these used soft tyres are being used up, and Sebastian Job goes P4. between Longay and Lee. Thomas Ronha, he's gone fastest in the first sector, fastest in the middle sector. This is a very quick lap from Thomas Ronha. Where is he going to go? Straight to the top of the timings, a 1 minute 9.748. Advantage Ronha.
It's his home track. What did we expect? Well, to continue the form that he's had. He's been brilliant this year. That's what I expected. Whatever Brendan Lee's singing, it's doing him all right so far. Keep that up. He's an absolute vibe machine, is Brendan Lee. Lucas Blakely is a competitive animal. I'm not too worried about him. Yes, Event 2 hasn't gone the way he would have liked it, yet he will look at that as being new team this season with McLaren Shadow, and it's all about making as many points as he possibly can.
Going to have to pause you there, Tom. Fastest in the first sector, Rasmussen, but Rasmussen has made a big mistake in this middle sector, lost 2 tenths to Ronha, and he is actually down on his previous lap, and I think he is not going to finish this lap either. It looks like he's aborted it. So into the pits comes Freddie. He's going to have one final attempt.
Yeah, those fresh tyres that he's been saving haven't been enough. They're obviously great to put him into P2, but not enough so far for him to get pole. And now we're going to be getting into that situation where all the drivers will have a new set of soft tyres. They're going to be using them at the end of this session, and everybody's going to be trying to get into that 0.7. Will we see anyone in the 0.6 though?
It's mind games. I think it's absolute mind games. If you imagine yourself, whoever's watching right now, put yourself in the position of someone like Lucas Blakely, he's top of the driver's standing, and all of a sudden you keep hearing that name, Thomas Ronha, just steps out. He's just delivering when it matters most. And that, as a mind game, puts the pressure on Lucas, who's in his rig right now, trying to set an even faster time, knowing how quick Thomas is. You begin to sort of self-doubt begin to kick in. But if anyone can be resilient and master it, I reckon Lucas can.
Yeah, let's not forget Freddie Rasmussen as well. He's the one that's his nearest championship rival at the moment. Lucas Blakely looks completely unfazed, if I'm honest, right now from that camera.
He's in the zone. He's in the zone. And he's also had to go to the McLaren Shadow headquarters now. Before, he was in his home. He was where he's so familiar. And he's got I'm not saying that all the drivers have to learn where they are, but it does change things. Your whole routine goes out the window. And yet he got those 2 wins in Event 1. It's not happening so far in Event 2. But if anyone can find that 10th, that 2 tenths, it's Lucas Blakely.
We'll have to see. He's going to have to find those tenths if he wants to be in the mix this evening. There's Ron Hart, looking very chilled out indeed, if anything.
Just checking what was there. Still there. Good,
yeah,
save that.
I was like, don't dig, don't dig. There's Caraton.
Just reacting to what he's just seen Ron Hart doing.
Yeah.
This is unfamiliar territory this season for Alvaro in Q3. So I'm sure he's just buzzing at the moment, just going, this is where I thought I was going to be. Yeah, just enjoy this moment and try and get the maximum you can.
Same for Longate and same for Brendan Lee. We haven't seen him fighting for the top positions, Brendan Lee, but he has been performing in qualifying. No singing.
Did you see Tanitsa in the distance?
Probably
What's happened to David Tanitsa in terms of an 8th place finish in Imola? Kelsey Priest, it's Italian place. 16th in Spielberg and then 9th in Spa, and then doesn't get to race again. Just how do they eke out those tenths, that hundredth of a second, which we're looking for to be right back up there in the mix?
They've just got to put the work in. They've got to figure out what car setup works for them, because that cannot be understated how important the setup of the car is. Freddie Rasmussen kind of alluded to that in the first event, saying that, you know, the McLaren, I think it was able to take the curbs differently to how they were able to, and things like that. And clearly Ferrari have not been able to completely work out what's the best setup for the track so far. Brendan Lee is through to Q3 though. A great performance from him. Let's see where he can manage. Jarno Otmir about to start his final lap in Q3. Currently 8th at 10.2 though on a used set of soft tyres. What can he manage? 1 lap, and he knows that 8th place will not be enough to be able to challenge for the victory. That is quite deep through that bowl section, but you can, if you get on the power early enough, get a good exit, and all the way down here flat, and then, as Hayden said earlier, just a very small dab of the brakes and chuck the car in. The first sector is pretty good for Otmir, it has to be said. What's he going to be like through this middle sector? Can he get in the mix of Ronha and Rasmussen? It'll be fascinating to watch Otmir back at the front fighting this evening. Let's have a look and see what the middle sector's saying. Blakely has gone fastest in the middle sector. Forget that, Rasmussen's gone even quicker. Otmir has matched the fastest middle sector that we have seen so far, but unfortunately for him, lost a tenth to what Longuet has managed now behind. Otmir needs a fantastic last sector here if he wants to be anywhere near challenging for pole position. Can he get anywhere near what Ronhaar and Rasmussen have managed? Otmir goes to the top of the timings. That's a great last sector from the Mercedes driver, a 109.677. Enter Jarno Otmir. What can Brendan Lee manage out there? Blakely's gone fastest in the middle sector. Track evolution is everything at the moment. Lucas Blakely, the current championship leader, goes to the top of the timings, a 1 minute 9.6. Freddie Rasmussen, can he enter the 0.5s? He cannot beat Lucas Blakely. Only second for Freddie Rasmussen. Make that third as Longuet now goes to second in the Alfa Romeo. Brendan Lee, 2 championships under his belt. Where does he manage? He gets up to 6th. Alvaro Carreton was 4th, now 5th as Barry Burman comes over the line. Danny Moreno can only manage 9th. We all look to Thomas Ronhaar now, the last driver out there, driving towards the line in the Haas. Where does Thomas Ronhaar go? We wait to see. It's P1! Ronhaar on pole position for this evening's Dutch Grand Prix.
Oh, he was peaking just at the right time, was Thomas Ronhaar. And I'll tell you what, Lucas Blakely is like an elephant. He doesn't forget how to do it. Got to P2, I think, in the end there. But there was a moment where you're like, he needed a fantastic quality there, the last run, and he did just that. He's the elephant. That's his
Wow,
unique
wow,
name.
wow. Otmir was fastest, and about 10 seconds later, he's now 7th.
Wow, into the 0.5s. As I said, will we see anyone into the 0.6s? I did not expect pretty much everybody to be into the 0.6s, and then for Ronhaar to put it up there into the 0.547, and he was, half a tenth quicker than Lucas Blakely. What a lap, but really good there from Lucas Blakely to sort of bounce back from the last 2 races, be up in P2, and now fighting for the win.
Huge,
Yeah.
huge to have Blakely up there. We've spoken how difficult it is to overtake around this track, to be second, to be in that position of power, as we've seen with Freddie Rasmussen a few times. He's going to be looking good for tonight.
Yeah, just imagine just behind him right now, you could just sense Freddie Rasmussen coming for him. But that took everything from him, as you can see. I mean, Thomas looks so relaxed, just chill.
He's so chill. He has got nerves of steel.
Yeah. But imagine Lucas is genuinely going to have to be like this as he's driving, and that Drivers' Championship, he needed to pull it out of the bag. He's done just that. Fine. You know, Thomas is in 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, and all the best for him for maybe picking up his 2nd F1 Esports Series win, but fantastic from Lucas.
Rasmussen wasn't able to make it 4 poles in a row. Let's see how he reacted after his lap. Does the camera get thrown across? Does he grab? There it is. I love that. I love that. I don't think he quite realises we wait for that moment as we clip it every single time. There is the classification then from Zandvoort. And it's Thomas Ronhaar on pole position ahead of Lucas Blakely. Nicholas Longuet, my pick for qualifying. P3, a very good performance from him. Barry Burman, crucially, both McLaren Shadows in the top 4. Then it's Freddie Rasmussen from 5th and Alvaro Carreton. A great opportunity for Williams to add to that single point they have managed in the team's championship so far. Jarno Otmir 7th, Brendan Lee 8th, Sebastian Job 9th and Danny Moreno 10th. We can take a look, I think, at Freddie Rasmussen and something that went on at the end of qualifying. This is where he messed up his 2nd run. Let's have a look. Does he lose the back end slightly? Nothing, no problems there. You can see on the Delta, he's 700ths down at this point, and just losing a bit more time into, at this point, I think he's
backed out of it from there. I think
he may have
it was
happened
earlier in
the
the
lap.
curb. I think he just didn't take as much. He didn't cut it as much as maybe he did on the previous run, and that's where he lost about a tenth. And at that point, he was like, well, I've lost a tenth now. A tenth is a huge amount of time to gain in 2 corners. So what's the point?
I think there was actually a part in the earlier part in the lap as well, because he was fastest in the first sector of anybody, and when we saw that, he was about 700ths down on his Delta. So somewhere on that lap as well, it just didn't work out for Freddie. But still, he can do a lot from P5. He's been chasing down Lucas Blakely a lot. But now this time, he's going to have to be the one that potentially looks at an alternate strategy or something different to try and beat Blakely.
Yeah, and that is what we are going to be eagerly waiting to see. And also someone like Jarno Otmir as well, back in 7th, Moreno in 10th. Otmir, if anyone can move up the pack, it's that guy there. He's an absolute beast. So, I mean, Freddie Rasmussen better watch his back as well, because Otmir's right behind him.
OK, then, 7:30 this evening, we will have this quite fascinating race for you. Difficult to overtake. Strategy will be key. Who's your money on, Hayden?
Oh, I'm going to say Blakely is going to take it, but we're going to have some wet weather.
Wow, OK.
Whoa.
2 predictions. What about you, Tom?
Listen, here's a little fact. Whoever I say is going to win never does. So whoever I do say right now is got no chance. So I would probably say Brendan Lee's going to win tonight.
Good Lord. OK, hopefully no one listens to Tom Deacon's predictions, but that...
I'd like him to win. I'd like him to
You'd
get back
like
to that
him
form.
to win, but you actually think he could win?
I think any of that top 10 can, but we know how difficult Zandvoort is. So I'd probably look at the top 3. Maybe Nicholas Longo.
Yeah, I'm back in the long game. Don't you dare steal that.
Well, I'm taking it.
Here we go.
Can we
Come on.
take it?
Take it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a
Yay!
team. Love it. Well, thank you so much to Tom, to Hayden, and to you for watching at home. Join us this evening for the race at Zandvoort.